for me, cycling, because I'm a total beginner. I'm totally new at it. It's kind of the one place where I don't think about photography, and I can just feel what it's like to watch a sunrise and not have that thought in the back of my head going, oh, I should be shooting this right now. I grew up in San Diego. I grew up surfing with my friends from a really young age, going to the beach with my family. And when I was 15, a friend of mine had a camera, and we would all just take turns shooting photos of each other at Surf PE. And I really fell in love with the process of making photos, and ended up being behind the lens more than having my friends taking photos of me when it was their turn. And with surfing and surf photography, the lines are blurred so much that when I'm surfing and the light's good, I'm constantly thinking about taking pictures. And when I'm taking pictures now, unless the waves are phenomenal, I'm thinking I'd rather be surfing. The only way to be able to be where you want to be when the waves get to a certain size is by being fit and being healthy. And so I was always trying to find different ways to train or to stay healthy that would enable me to either catch better waves or spend more time in the water. And I feel like I could make a pretty strong portfolio of images with cycling if I wanted to, but really I just got into it to ride bikes with my wife and go on adventures near home. That's about it. I don't want to be a bike photographer. I've shot a little bit of it. The photos came out okay, but I have friends that are bike photographers and they're phenomenal at it, and I'd rather watch them do their thing and we can just go ride bikes. And I do like to have a little bit of that separation between us. Jenna, my wife, she was working at a company maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and there was a strong cycle community that she worked with, and they kind of got her into riding a bike. But all of a sudden, I was the new guy trying to ride bikes with her, and she's fast. She's strong and small and strong and loves hills. And one of the first rides we did is she brought me to this group ride, and it was a fast group ride, and I was in flat pedals on a steel frame bike, and it was oh, if you want to do this, this is what we're doing. I was like, oh shit, man, this is hard, but stayed with the group and we finished the ride, and I was like, okay, this is fun. And then through there were a couple guys who were like, okay, if you get pedals, it's it's a lot easier to pedal. I'm like, okay, we should get some pedals then. And so we got pedals, and all of a sudden it was able to keep up a little bit more, but it wasn't an easy introduction to cycling. It's she was already racing at a pretty high level, a high amateur level, and I kind of had to catch up pretty quickly. It was a challenge, but I liked the feeling of kind of having your back against the wall and being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. I think the ocean's taught me a lot about that, is seeing how far you can push your limits and push yourself without really getting hurt. And coming from a background of the ocean where you keep pushing yourself, the consequences are really high. Whereas cycling, it hurts, but I don't feel like it's very unsafe unless you're bombing downhill. And so the more we started riding together, the more adventures we were able to go. And she works for a wine company that's based out of Italy, and they had us out there for 3 weeks. When we'd go on surf trips, and I'd go on photo shoots, we'd go to places like Tahiti and Fiji and Australia, places where I've always dreamed of being in the water there, but I didn't know anything about cycling in Italy. And sure enough, where we were staying at a vineyard, and it was at the base of one of the biggest stages of the Giro d'Italia. So Jenna was like, oh, we got to go ride this stage of the Giro d'Italia. I'm like, I don't know what the Giro d'Italia is, but let's go do it. I have no clue what that is. And so one of the first days we did this 45-minute climb up this big mountain. She ended up going ahead of me, and I was just like, go, I'll meet you at the top. And we didn't realize, but at the top there was these offshoots that normally in my mind, I'm like, okay, you're at the top of a mountain, you turn around and go back. But there was a road that you could go down, or 2 extra 18% grades that you go up to these satellites. So I got to the top, and she wasn't where I thought the top was. So I go up the one 18% grade, she's not there. Go back down, go up the next one, can't find her. I'm like, maybe she went down the back. And my phone's set up for international travel, and hers wasn't. And so I couldn't get a hold of her. And I've been riding a bike at this point, maybe 3.5 months. And I was tired. I was super tired and starting to get frustrated because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where we were staying. She's definitely the brains of the family. She holds us all together. And then I'd ride like 2 miles down and then ride back up to the top thinking I maybe missed her. So I ended up doing a bunch of extra climbing and a bunch of extra riding when I was already tired. And then like an hour later, my phone rang and she'd ridden all the way down and had to go to 2 towns over to find Wi-Fi service. And then called me and she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at the top. Like, where are you? She's like, just start going down. And I was like terrified going down the super steep mountain. It's called Montessera. And we ended up like finding each other again after being apart for like an hour and a half. And it was this full like moment where we were like worried for each other, but super glad to see each other. It's really hard. I think now more than ever, it's hard to find a good, honest adventure. And that's something that I've always had in the ocean, but we've never really shared that together in the ocean because we have different surfing abilities. But with cycling, we've been able to like have the same experience, even if it takes her 20 minutes to get up a hill and it takes me 25, like you meet at the top, it hurts the same. And so you kind of have this like shared connection.